Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
Mario Götze! Mario Götze!
Tonight, whether you call it football, or soccer, a German American and a German in America dare to call it Fußball. German foosball from an American point of view. Let's add some buns to that hamburger and join them for the Schnitzel Boys Deutschland Hour.
Yeah, Stefan. Let's add your buns to that hamburger.
Oh. Very, there's innuendo there. You know what's funny? I'm watching Step by Step right now, streaming.
What was that?
Step by Step was a 90s ABC TGIF show. Remember TGIF, the Urkel show, and Family Matters, and Full House, and Step by Step? It was the television of my childhood.
Okay.
And I'm watching it, and back then it was built to be like on a Friday night, because TGIF stands for Thank God It's Friday, the Friday night block.
Yeah.
A family-friendly programming for the family on ABC,
Okay.
which was a Disney-owned channel, right? And it's only once a week for 24 minutes with commercials. Now that it's streaming in a row, it is just so much sex. It is just sexual innuendos. Step by Step stars Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers. It's a modern remake of the Brady Bunch.
Patrick Duffy of Dallas fame.
Patrick Duffy, a guy who I ran into last year. Did I tell you my Patrick Duffy story?
No.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. So, Step by Step, Patrick Duffy has 3 kids. Suzanne Summers has 3 kids. They move in together.
In this fictional setup.
In Step by Step, the fictional Step by Step story. And the whole thing is just Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers just being like,
let's fuck.
It's just sexual innuendo. It's like the amount of sex in this show. You know, it's a family-friendly television. But cheap writing is just sexual innuendos constantly. So 100% would be like, I'd love to put the buns in your you-know-what. Like, that would 100% be a joke on Step by Step. Anywho, I do comedy here in LA.
Sensibilities have changed.
I do comedy here in LA. Sensibility have changed. I do comedy here in LA. And there's this cool bar at a theater around here called the Broadwater. I do a lot of comedy in the theater. And then in the bar, we hang out a lot. And then one day,
it's like the Triple Crown of Los Angeles.
Bingo, but a little nicer because it's like a full theater. It's like it's a 3 theater complex.
It doesn't take much to be nicer than the Triple Crown.
Exactly. But exactly, Triple Crown in New York.
My most memorable Triple Crown moment was when I bit into a chicken wing and it was raw inside.
Ew. And you paid like $23 for it or something.
Oh, it's gross.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we met, I think. I had many memorable nights at Triple Crown. But anyway, the Broadwater, though, has an advantage of the Triple Crown in that it's owned by Patrick Duffy's son.
Oh, wow, wild.
There's like a bust of Patrick Duffy in the bar. But anyway, I'm there at a random night. I'm there a random night. It's just me and my improv team and then one group of guys in the corner, older guys. There's one older dude who's like the life of the party. He's like smiling. And he comes up to me. He's like, hey, bud, can you take a picture of me and my friends here or something? I was like, sure. He had such a great aura about him. I was like, yeah, sure, bud. Took a picture of them. It was like, thank you so much. He did a joke. And I laughed with him. It was cool. I go back to the table and I'm just like, wait a minute. And they're all like, yeah, I think that's him. I'm like, is that Patrick Duffy? America's dad from my childhood? Because I grew up. He was Step by Step. He was one of America's dads. Him, Bob Saget in Full House,
right,
and Carl Winslow, Reginald VelJohnson, and Family Matters were like the 3 dads of my American television youth. And I got to like, are you Patrick Duffy? He's like, yeah. And he says, do you want a picture with me? He offered to take a picture. I didn't even ask. And I was like, sure. So we took a great selfie. He was such a cool dude. I said, I love your work. He was like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, he was so kind. You know, it was a really cool moment. Patrick Duffy was really cool. So Patrick Duffy of Who Shot JR fame and Dallas.
I mean, he was always the nice one versus his brother JR.
I never watched Dallas. I was a little behind.
Dallas was a huge
guy.
Listen,
I know.
Dallas was huge in Germany.
Yeah.
Huge. And it was like I mean,
You know who brought that up? Dirk Nowitzki in an interview recently.
oh,
Because he
interesting.
said,
Yeah.
they asked him what he knew about America. It's like, well, I grew up watching
It's like
Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah. And he
But
would
it was
play in
like
Dallas later.
it was like you know, it would if it was a show about aliens, it couldn't have been any further, any more culturally different from Germany. We were like, what are these people? Like it was just like such a crazy.
It's a soap opera, a bunch of oil tycoon.
Yeah,
family in
oil
Dallas,
tycoons,
right?
and it's like a primetime soap. It's like a sort of higher production, but like everybody watched this. We knew,
Right.
I knew all that, and I didn't even watch it all that much. I was pretty young then, and you know, but like you just knew everybody. You knew all the actors, all the characters' names. It was just like a huge thing, and my dad would like pretend to be, you know, J.R. Ewing. He would come. He would walk into the house and be like, "Sue Ellen, fix me a drink," and then everybody would laugh because it was so like, you know, it's not something that anybody would do in Germany.
Well, when I was a kid, I loved The Simpsons. I still do. And the big cliffhanger was who shot Mr. Burns.
Oh, right.
And I learned later
that this was that's
a spoof on Who Shot JR, which was probably the greatest cliffhanger in TV history, right? I mean, Who Shot JR has been spoofed.
And then it was all a dream.
Right. They cheaped out because the beginning of next year, Patrick Duffy was in a shower, right? And it was like a dream or something, which is a total cop-out. That's bad writing. They made fun of it on Family Guy. They made fun of it on The Simpsons. Yeah, of course.
I mean, like, it's a
dream sequences.
It's a soap opera.
Well, I guess that's true. But anyway, I ran into Patrick Duffy. It's great. I will share
I'm happy to hear that he did seem like a sweet guy on the show.
Yeah, and he was very fatherly, and he's a TV leading man. Good for him. He still looks great for his age. You know, good for him. And
what happened to Victoria Principal? Do we know?
Who's that? Is that his wife?
His wife, his Dallas wife.
Oh, I'm not. You're talking. This is so of the many layers of this podcast. One is a generational difference. We're talking about Patrick Duffy. For you, it's all about Dallas.
I am significantly older than you. It's true.
No, but it's just like when I think of Patrick Duffy, I think of him and Suzanne Summers. And Suzanne Summers passed away a year ago. And Suzanne Summers was, Three's Company. And, we all know who Suzanne Summers is, right? And, but the Victoria Constable, I don't know who that is.
Victoria Principal. I was all about her in those days. She was Patrick Duffy's wife. She is not, she's alive. She's 73 years old. Didn't really do much acting of note.
She's Japanese. She's born in Japan.
She's not Japanese. She's born in Japan. She's not Japanese. She didn't have a ton of acting success subsequent to Dallas, but yeah, that's it. Victoria Principal.
Well, you know who else is born in Japan?
You.
Bochum's best player, or one of them. So, what's his name? Asano.
Yeah,
He's crushing it. He's exactly what I want Americans to be. He's like a Japanese Clint Dempsey.
Exactly what I want Americans to be. Well, you want him to be like the
key players, week in and week out, high usage players for small to mid-sized clubs. We don't have a lot.
You said that wasn't good enough last week. You said that wasn't good enough. You wanted top clubs, high usage players at top clubs.
Bochum, no, I do.
Bochum, not a top club. I'm by no definition. I mean top flight, but like.
I know, but that's the ideal scenario. I'm saying, but I'd much rather like as opposed to getting trash minutes at PSV or whatever. I'd much rather you get 90 minutes a week at Bochum. You know what I'm saying? We used to have like Clint Dempsey. By the way, I'm loving all this new Paramount Plus coverage of UCL in Miami. Have you seen all that stuff? That stuff is so good. They're by far the best soccer.
They do a good job. I like their UCL coverage. I don't watch the extra stuff, but
that's pretty much it. They were in Miami. It was Jamie. Good. It was Jamie Carragher, Thierry Henry, Micah Richards, Clint Dempsey, and then the Americans.
Kate
Chuck Davis,
Apto
Apto.
making fun of Micah Richards
Right.
is one of my favorite things.
She invokes Family Matters during one of her insults. She says, we've got Steve Urkel here tonight making fun of Micah Richards, which was from an ABC TGIF show, Family Matters. So it goes full circle. But anyway, they were sort of talking about that kind of stuff about like, do Americans have a stigma and blah blah blah. But
we have those people. You know, you have like Jedi Robinson and Tim Reeves start every game at Fulham.
Yeah, it's great.
But you said that wasn't good enough. You said you wanted.
What I'm saying is Clint Dempsey was like our best at the time. That's what he was doing, and I want our players to succeed at the big clubs. They're all doing great. I love it. But I also want a nice mix of dudes like Asano, who's playing for smaller clubs too, week in and week out. We need a healthy mix. For us, we've got like 11 players that play top flight football.
Mm-hmm.
Some play, some rotate, and then that's it. And then MLS guys. It's like, where are our Bochum players? Where are
Yeah, I mean, I think that's if you want to. Yeah, I think this is again part of this myth that the player pool is so much better than it's ever been. Like it's like it's not really there were always those kinds of people. Matt Turner just lost his starting spot at Forest.
Right. Chris Richards isn't playing.
Chris Richards isn't playing.
Although over the weekend he played as a midfielder. I think.
Austin Trusty is on
Sheffield United.
Is on Sheffield, and he gets minutes, but on the worst team.
Right.
And the worst defense of the worst team in the Premier League. And they're definitely getting relegated. And it's not going to be close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just such an interesting system. It's a little backwards to me. Now, it could be wrong. Maybe it's the agents or something. But, like, the way it works is in order to leave MLS or Brazil or Argentina, you have to get bought by a big club. Like, small clubs can't afford you these days. So you have to get bought by a big club, and you're just not ready for them. You get lost in the shuffle of a big club. You're on the books there. You're playing in the reserves.
Wait, what do you mean?
I'm just talking about the transfer market in general. You know, like we look at a Tim Howard back in the day. He went to Manchester United. He was too young. And he became a better player at Everton. His prime years with Everton.
Right.
Because he fell to a smaller club. He could make mistakes, and he became the player he was. Which is why I think it's crazy that Matt Turner was dropped after one mistake. I mean, it's Nottingham Forest. It's not Manchester City. Should be allowed to make a mistake. And if you want to get specific, Matt Turner's stats are way better than the replacement keeper they got now. He just doesn't he just doesn't do big blunders for the cameras, you know. But the numbers were better under Matt Turner. But anyway, I look at someone like Asano.
Well, Nottingham Forest are a particularly weird organization. They just, right. I guess they seem to just want to buy a bunch of, because they bought another goalie for a lot of money. And they just buy all these players, and then they're like, okay, have it out. Like nobody is particularly necessarily better than the other. There's just a lot of like mid-level players, and then they all just have to find their way. So he may be back, who knows? But the point is just there isn't, you know, like if you somebody was doing this on Twitter a couple weeks ago where they were like sort of comparing the 2006 2010 team versus now, and it's sort of similar in terms of what the status is of the best players, and you know, like how you I mean, Christian Pulisic is always hurt, and Milan also are sort of struggling. It's like, yeah, it's like everybody's trying to find their way.
Well, what I was saying, what I was getting at is back in the day, like when Clint Mathis, the other great Clint, he played for MLS. He played for, I forgot who he played for, the Metro Stars, I think, or someone.
Yeah.
And his contract ended. Then off to Europe he went. And he trialed. He trialed with Leicester City. He trialed with the Rangers. He trialed with Hannover. And his buddy Steve Trundle was Hannover, and he picked Hannover. And he went to Hannover because it was the only top flight club. Leicester City were in the championship. And he went to Hannover, and he was he was great. He kicked right away. He had attitude stuff, so he flushed out early. But what I'm saying is, like, that doesn't exist anymore. In order for you to play for a small club, you have to get bought by a big club first to get over there, because they're the ones that can afford you. Then get your confidence knocked. No playing time. You got to be cold for 6 months because you're off in the reserves. You can't break into the first team. And then you get flushed out via loan.
But what are these? Who are you talking about when you say this?
Well, I mean, name them. I mean, as far as like, in order for an American to play on Bochum week in and week out, let's say Bochum.
Well, Bochum is a special. Bochum doesn't. It has nothing to do with Americans. Bochum doesn't pay transfer fees for hardly anyone. Like, they don't have any money for transfer fees. I don't know that. I don't know the last time that Bochum paid a. So that's not a. That's why it
would be nice. Well, it's a small club thing. That's why it would be nice if an MLS dude like Omer Fernandez, who just announced that he's not resigning, whatever, if he went over, trialed with Bochum for a couple weeks, and signed with Bochum. They played for Bochum. He doesn't have to go to RB Leipzig or, Man City to flush around in their lone army. It's all about that lone army these days. Big clubs hoard players.
Omer Fernandez is not a Bundesliga player.
Well, there's only one way to find out. But, when Ricardo Pepi went to Augsburg, that was rare because he went to a small club where he could play. They had to get extra help. They spent $20 million for him, which is a lot for everybody involved.
Never gonna do that again.
And it totally failed, right? If I would love to see that, but I want him to be signed on a free after a trial. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see all this risk involved in these investments.
But then okay.
You know what I'm saying? That used to be the norm. Americans hopped on a flight, trialed around till they got a contract, and they worked their way up. Nowadays, you just don't see that anymore. It's just not, the system does.
Well, because in general, but I think the reason is that clubs now like to get people younger. Like clubs. Okay.
Like Kevin Peretti.
But there's plenty of examples of those kinds of people, like Joe Scally being one of the success stories of going very early, spending some time in the academy / second team. And then, there's plenty of those kinds of people kicking around. They just don't always rise to the top, which is also not an American thing. That's just a youth soccer player thing. The odds are always against you. Most people don't make it.
Yeah, that's true, and they just wallow around in the reserves, and they're on the books at places, but they just can't settle somewhere.
I think
the place to settle is a smaller club. That's where they need to settle, but smaller clubs.
Yeah, but we also see
Matthew Hoppe was just released from San Jose Earthquakes, and back to Middlesbrough he goes, or whatever, And it's just like Matthew Hoppe just needs to go to some club who wants him, a small club, and just stay there week in and week out and establish himself. But every 6 months he gets shipped off because he comes with a price, because he was bought, he has a contract, and he just gets trialed and shipped off at clubs. If it doesn't hit right away, he just wallows somewhere. And it's just the way that the market in general is, like you said, they're buying them young. It's the same in Hollywood. You got a big manager. Like, are you going to hit right away? 1 out of 100 do, and that's amazing. 99 out of 100 do not, and they just get thrown out, like in a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
They're gone. They're like, yeah, you're on the books, but we don't know what to do with you. And then they just futz around, and then they're come maybe back to MLS 5 years damaged because they couldn't get any playing time anywhere. And I prefer the old school system. It's like, play when your contract's up, find a club that needs you, and then work your way up from the small clubs upwards as opposed to the big clubs downwards. That's all I'm trying to say. It seems the system supports big to down as opposed to down to up, and to me, it's a little backwards.
Well, we also see a lot of these players fail. That's the other the other side of the coin, right? We see a lot of these guys come for big money. I mean, it's not, if there was, because there is this sort of, I mean, often when you listen to MLS pundits talk, it's like, this is kind of like, oh yeah, the American player is undervalued. And it's like,
Right. They're
what?
not. They're properly valued.
Based on what? They're not. Yeah. They're like, if there was such a glut of great American players that could just be, then people would find them. But it's like, there's more failures than successes in this, whether you talk about Pepe or even Brendan Aronson hasn't like exactly lit it up at Union Berlin. Union Berlin at this point, a small club again, like no longer,
right.
I mean, they're in the Champions League. And so it's also, it hasn't worked overwhelmingly. So that's the other thing. If Pepe like scores 15 goals or whatever, then probably Brandon Vasquez goes for another 20 million,
30 million,
but
20 million.
Yeah. But it's just not the case. And especially Brandon Vasquez is also not quite so young, right? How old is he? He's like 20.
25.
And the age thing is a big, people just don't want to. I mean, even, Tati Castellanos is like starting sometimes for Lazio. There's still a big gap. There's just still a big gap between these leagues, and these people just don't hit. A lot of them don't hit, especially at the more advanced age range. That's just the reality.
Gio Reyna, for instance, needs to change clubs, right?
Gio Reyna is a good example. We had, him and Bino Gibbons went back and forth a lot with when they were kind of, I mean, Gio maybe more of a midfielder, Bino Gibbons more of a winger, but they were kind of fighting for time at the same position. And now Bino Gibbons starts and Gio Reyna doesn't. And I guess maybe it's the injuries have set him back, etc.
Yeah.
But it's just.
Well, Gio Reyna.
This is why I just say this one more thing. This is why anybody who is a solid, established MLS starter should think twice about this, like Europe at all costs kind of idea. Jimmy Sands tried it at Rangers and then kind of, I mean, he just came right back, to his credit. He's not like, he didn't like go to Belgium next, or I don't know what's happening next with him, but I think he still wants to go. But especially the American guys, I don't know, if you're an established starter in MLS, unless somebody really wants you and is willing to invest, you should just maybe consider staying put. That's what I would advise.
Yeah, or for like a Jimmy Sands or someone, what I'd love to see more of, and this used to be the norm, but now you don't see any of it at all, is the idea of like your contract's up, go find a club in Europe, a small to mid-sized club that will sign you on a free, and the risk is less. You're more useful that way, because let's look at Gio now for wintertime. Gio does need a new club, needs to play somewhere, maybe less, maybe Gladbach, who knows. But he comes with a price tag, and he comes with a salary. Because he's on Borussia Dortmund's book, they spent a considerable amount of money on him, and they want to get a certain value back off him. And it's cool that he went to Borussia Dortmund. He was there for the youth system. It was great. I feel in general he's just not being used properly, but that's Europe. What are you going to do about that? So he does need a new club, but if he is a free agent right now, that's amazing. He can get himself a perfect situation. You have plenty of options, but he's not a free agent. He comes with a certain monetary figure attached to him that leads to a lot of pressure, and that leads to less options in the wintertime, right? I don't know. I'm curious what's going to happen to him, but he's a great player. I do believe in Gio, but I would love to see Gio crush it at a Gladbach, or I don't know, at a Union Berlin or somewhere else, maybe even at a Fulham. Why not? Go crush it somewhere, and then work your way upwards that way, as opposed to continually trying to figure out your way downwards. So it just leads to this interesting, the transfer market to me is just a little backwards. I don't know. And we got Paxton Aronson, Brendan Aronson, Kevin Paredes, all these guys who are getting trash minutes coming off the bench because they're playing for the only clubs that could afford guys like that at that time in our modern transfer market world. And it's just going to be harder for them to find the right playing situation than it would be if they were just free agents. At least that's what it seems like to me. So,
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
I will consider your theory.
Well, it's just, yeah, we have all these big clubs. It's very exciting. I'm
I
excited
guess
about it too.
there is.
However,
no,
where are the Tim Howards? Where are the Clint Dempseys? Where are the Michael Bradleys? You know, where are the dudes who crushed it Everton and Fulham week in and week out? We need those guys too. They should also be part of our depth. And just the modern market seems that's not really a possibility for those guys. It's like big clubs or bust. I don't know. It wasn't really one I wanted to bring up, but it was something to think about.
But here we are.
The winter transfer market is approaching.
Bochum won a game. Thiago Almada. Oh, that's MLS. Thiago Almada said he's going to leave Atlanta. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Bochum.
Bochum is full of the type of players that I'm talking about. These are dudes who are professional players who signed on a free, who have value to offer, and they're playing week in and week out. I think there's a Costa Rican dude right on the team.
Christian Gamboa, yeah, he's been there for a long time.
They didn't buy him. He's just a dude who went off to Europe to
There's
find a contract.
A Brazilian guy, Danilo Suarez. Yeah.
Right.
Eric Ronaldo used to play for Bochum. It happened. It's happened before.
Right.
Alexi Lalas was rumored to go to Bochum. That never happened, though.
Those are both trial situations. That's the stuff I'm talking about. So Bochum with their boys beat Kevin Perez and Wolfsburg 2-1, a comfortable 2-1.
3-1. Don't get it twisted.
3-1. Even more impressive.
Now, if we're talking about Bochum, here's another little nugget about the vibes, the Bochum vibes that are different from prior to this game, Bochum was had 10 points out of 12 games. And, barely held the league last, still averages less than a point a game. And guess what was announced this week? Thomas Letsch's contract was extended for another 2 years. Everybody couldn't be more happy with Thomas Letsch and I mean, it's cool. I'm down. He did a good job. He seems like a good coach, but it's like, and I'm I'm always for continuity. I don't think heads should roll every time things go wrong, but like I thought that was still pretty wild. If you're averaging less than a point per game and you're like, couldn't be better. Let's extend this contract. A few weeks ago, I was like, yeah, I guess it's fall again. Time for another coach, but apparently not. We're gonna stick with him. And so yeah, I thought that was pretty curious. But the team responded, beat Wolfsburg pretty convincing. The third goal was late and sort of sealed it. But yeah, it was a good. I was watching it anxiously, waiting for them to piss it away, but they did not. I mean, the team has definitely won a defensive solidity that it seems to be serving them well, and they don't score a lot of goals. 14 goals in 13 games, and 3 of them this weekend. But yeah, pretty good. Definitely now they have a little breathing room. 4 points off the relegation spots, and there's a lot of, like we keep saying every week, there's a lot of shitty teams in the Bundesliga this year. So a point per game, I guess it's almost enough. Certainly right now is enough to keep you away from the relegation zone.
Well, it keeps you at 12th place. That's what it keeps you at. So dare to be worse. Well, this whole thing is interesting to me. I'm very curious because cut to a year ago when what's his face? Was Manuel Riemann? Was he the coach? Or was that the goalkeeper?
He's the goalkeeper.
Thomas Reis. Which one was the coach?
Thomas Reis, which I
Thomas-
thought, yeah, I thought
Thomas- right, that was a big-
I was pimping him
Me
for a
too.
Man United opening.
And that was like a big, like, oh, Bochum, you screwed up. What the heck is that? The good guy left. And now, cut to a year later, it turns out Bochum won that one, right? Thomas Reis, Coach Schalke. To
For now,
terribleness,
yeah,
off somewhere.
I guess, it's not over till it's over. But yeah, right
And
now,
the
Thomas Reis
replacement
does not have a
coach-
job, doesn't have a job.
But it makes me curious about the behind the scenes. So Thomas Lech came in and he signed an extension, so that they seem to work well together, the management and him and the players, and they signed an extension. And I'm curious, what was the situation with Thomas Reis? What was going on behind the scenes?
Well, there was that whole thing. We talked about that whole story. Is him and Sebastian Schinzelords did not get their contracts extended to their satisfaction, I guess. And then it's hard to know who was at fault. I mean, I think the higher ups of Bochum certainly have a history of treating their employees poorly. But I don't know. It's hard to. Obviously, I don't see the contracts. I'm not in these negotiations. I don't know who's to blame or who is right and who's wrong. But yeah, now everybody seems happy about how things are going.
Yeah, and Bochum's a Bundesliga club. They're staying in the Bundesliga. They're seemingly, yeah. So good on them. Good on Bochum. Good on the win.
This game made a big difference mathematically because we were right there, and now we've got a little bit of room. But this was also, we just went through the soft part of the schedule, and we're gonna go to Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim on the road is next week, and then we have Union Berlin at home. But then it's Leverkusen on the road, which I'm going to see that game. So
you'll be there.
Yeah.
So we had the Spitzenspiel or whatever, the Spitzspiel. What's it called?
Das Verfolgerduell.
Verfolgerduell.
The derby of the chasers. I guess Leverkusen are not the chasers right now. They're in front. But I mean, everybody's chasing Bayern, even if Bayern is in second. They're still ahead. They're still ahead in spirit.
Derek Ray called it the Sonntag Spitzspiel.
Spitzenspiel.
Spitzenspiel.
Did you watch this? Is it just me, or is Derek Ray easing off his shtick a little bit?
I didn't see any of that. I saw him and Stefan Freund, who's equally ridiculous. Derek Ray, in the beginning of the broadcast, Derek Ray is like, I speak German. I forgot what he said. Something about like German words, or I speak German, or whatever. And Stefan Freund is like, oh, you definitely do. We hear it every week or whatever. Like they were bantering about it. They were bantering about it. So, I mean, I don't know if we had anything to do with him pulling it off.
I'm not saying that at all. But I thought maybe somebody had said something, because I felt it a little less this time. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Although they were a bunch of ay-ay-ay's.
I'm all about Derek Ray. But the big problem I have with the whole thing is how much they feel they have to A, defend, or B, advertise themselves over and over and over again. Nowadays, the Kevin Hatchard and the other guys, they're just like, Europe's highest scoring league, not bad for Europe's highest scoring league. It's like it comes off as desperate, man. It's just like
this is
league,
where,
right?
yeah, that's. I mean, MLS. The MLS coverage is very much like that. We've spoken.
Yeah, but
about
why is
that.
Bundesliga
now it's
doing that?
Bundesliga? Yeah, I guess here in this country there is these leagues are in competition with each other. It's like there's only so many hours in the day. You're not going to watch La Liga and the Premier League and the Bundesliga and MLS and whatever else. It's like you're going to make a choice. So it's part of their assignment is to give you reasons to keep watching it. Because why should anyone in America watch the Bundesliga unless?
Okay, marketing 101. How big of a difference do you feel the viewership has been because the guys are like, "Come on over and watch us, please."
No, I agree. I agree with you. It
Please.
does come off a little. I mean, it does come
Please.
off a little desperate and sad. But even the
should hire
Prem,
me
even
to
the
be the
Prem
Bundesliga.
guys, even the Prem guys do it. Even the Prem guys are like, "This is so compelling.
Yeah, but the
What a
Prem guys-
game we're watching."
The
Yeah.
Prem guys have a big advantage. Their games stream clearly, and you can watch the games. We have a big disadvantage where our
here
games
we go.
don't come through a lot.
No, we're going
Yet
no.
again, I've been watching the Bundesliga in the USA for years, since high school. I have never seen this amount of technical difficulties in one season in my entire Bundesliga watching life.
Yeah,
I feel like every other week it's something. Just this past weekend, the Sonntag Spitzenspiel, Derek Gray went on Twitter to apologize. All the Bundesliga Twitter aficionados like me shared footage of a snowy screen. And they just, for 10 minutes, from like the 35th minute on through the end of the app, it was just blurry screen. We missed the fake equalizer. We missed everything. We missed the whole first half of the second half of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the English Prem never has to deal with this. I don't think Spain or Italy has to deal with this either. Something's going on between either ESPN or the Bundesliga. I blame ESPN, where they're just, the quality control is just very poor.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, it's an internet signal. Just make sure your Ethernet cable's plugged in, man. It's not like the old days with satellite, right? So,
Well, ESPN has so many things going at the same time that they are. I mean, I feel like the app is pretty buggy.
yeah, no quality control.
Overall, I don't think this is just a Bundesliga thing. I think this is an ESPN in general thing. There are so many streams and maybe not enough people to keep track. I don't know what the problem is, but it's definitely a thing for sure. And I don't feel well. You have said that you feel this way about Paramount Plus as well. That there's a lot of I have
Very
not
pushy.
felt that way. I felt they've been pretty solid in my experience. But
Well, let me read you an article from a month ago.
okay,
I have mistakenly assumed that this summer there'd be new rights. I think I'm wrong. I think the domestic rights go on through to 2025, and the international rights go on through the World Cup 2026. So nothing's going to change next season, I don't think. However, here's an article called DFL and ESPN Commit to Bundesliga US Media Rights Renewal Talks. ESPN Senior Vice President of Programming Tim Bunnell says the German Soccer League will play a crucial role in its transition to DTC. ESPN next year, I believe, is about to relaunch as an online-only app or something. Because transitioning from cable to streaming has always been a thing. And ESPN is like the last of the Mohicans. So like the last ones holding on to cable. And they finally are going to rebrand or relaunch as a 24/7 app network thingy thing, which is very smart because that's the future. And this guy is saying here that the German Soccer League, here speaking at a media visit in Germany earlier this month ahead of Borussia Dortmund's home clash with Bayern München, Tim Bunnell, ESPN SVP for programming, says, "We are in this for the long term. We haven't engaged in renewal talks, but I expect to. There's a lot to look forward to in the future. We have 2 years to go. We have a lot of development to do still. We got a late start with COVID, and we had to pause out of the gate. So we're just blaming COVID a little bit. Contracts begin and end, but we're looking at this much longer-term relationship, and we're just getting started. We 100% agree, and we would like to ask the clubs to even do more in the U.S. and to be more active and to come more often, so that we can build upon this and grow together in the U.S. as much as we can," added Peter Naubert, the Bundesliga international marketing officer. Since replacing Fox, ESPN, and then Bunnell says, "Certainly when we look at the Bundesliga relationship, one of the high watermarks for us is the quality and innovation on the production side. That's a big selling point for us. We deal with a lot of European soccer leagues, and we've always felt from where we sit that we get tremendous support from the Bundesliga, almost more than we do from any other league. So the relationship starts on a positive tone." So, the Bundesliga is offering. They offer support programming. Bundesliga is, I think, offering more product than other leagues do. And he's mentioning that the EFL support in the DTC, which means direct-to-consumer platform ESPN Plus. And pretty much he says the Bundesliga, although we put a few on ABC and ESPN, the point of the Bundesliga is to be part of the ESPN Plus package. They want the Bundesliga to be a big property on their DTC service, which is launching in 2025, which is a 24/7 ESPN Plus like app thing where you don't need the cable subscription or whatever. So they're talking together. They're still in bed together, and they want this ESPN relationship apparently is supposed to continue. I would it's cheap. I think I pay $10 a month or whatever for ESPN. It's got more expensive. It used to be $5 a month. It's more than that. And it's just so twitchy, and the quality control is just so poor. And it makes you wonder, I was in Munich with your brother, right? And we watched the World Series. And what do we watch the World Series on? On the MLB app. Major League Baseball has its own global app. They don't need TV networks. They've got apps. And MLS is on Apple, right? There's no TV networks. The global app. Is the future for the Bundesliga just to have the Bundesliga app, right? Do their own thing. Why does someone like ESPN need to be involved at all? Would be my question. Like, what's the importance of a local broadcaster? I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
What would you prefer? It to be part of ESPN's twitchy-ass app, or for you to download the Bundesliga app and all the programming is just on that app? It's only the Bundesliga. You don't get Champions League, I guess. It's just its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. Yeah, I mean, I think that, the ESPN thing is fine. I get ESPN for free. I have a Verizon, my Verizon cell phone plan, family plan, gives us the triple crown of Disney Plus and ESPN and Hulu for free. So, I can't really argue with it being too expensive. But I mean, in theory, the ESPN Plus is good, but it's like, they've had a lot of problems. And I mean, the Apple thing is nicer. The MLS on Apple has been pretty, for the most part, glitch free. I guess there've been a couple of things, but overall pretty. But on the other hand, you're always railing against the state-owned media. I mean, ESPN, it is an independent organization. I don't know how much that sort of manifests itself in their coverage, but at least, I mean, I think we're headed toward why does anyone need a distributor? Why can't the Premier League just put out their stuff on their own and keep all the money? I don't know, but the
Bundesliga is not on Sports Center. It's not like they're cross promoting it or anything like that. It just lives as a thing on their streaming service, like obscure old TV shows live on Netflix and Paramount.
I think in a subscriber model, it's not like it's the things that make certain people that are a deal breaker. Like for me, the Bundesliga, I would subscribe to whatever they're on, most likely, in order to watch it. So in that sense, even if there's not a lot of me, even just a few make a big difference, because I would subscribe to whatever the Bundesliga is on, even if there's nothing else on it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see what the future of sports lies. If I didn't know any better, I would say every league's going to have their own app at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's really no, it used to be that I mean, that's just kind of where journalism as an industry is headed in general. It used to be, media used to be very important because there's the only, I used to go to you have to look in the newspaper to find out the score of the game. This is obviously difficult to imagine now, that you were, if there was a game on Friday night, I would find out the result on Saturday morning because it was on the front page of the newspaper that arrived at our door. And so obviously,
what channel I used to watch all the soccer stuff when I was growing up? That would, because same thing. This is pre-internet or early internet, and the best way to get the scores is you watch a sports show, some sort of 30 minutes to an hour-long sports show. And I grew up overseas, and the best show was on CNN. It was called, I think, Sports World International or something. It was a 30-minute to hour-long show, and they showed all the highlights of all the soccer leagues and stuff. And that's how I got my scores, you know. But yeah, nowadays everything is a direct-to-consumer subscription service, isn't it? And it's all
Yeah, it
live
can be.
action.
Yeah.
Can be.
And yeah, I mean, and to some, yeah, and we'll see. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I mean, we do like independent journalists, right? But I mean, they can cover. If just the broadcast is on the Bundesliga app or whatever, there's still people who can cover it, of course. So, yeah, I don't know where things are headed, but it seems like where anyone, teams or anyone, used to really need media to get their stuff out in the world, that's no longer the case. You can just put it out yourself, like we're doing. We don't need to get a job anywhere. We can just talk about this on YouTube.
If we were doing this in the 80s, this would be on New York One, the public access.
Yeah.
But now YouTube is the world's public access TV channel.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what we're doing here. Independent media. And for the Bundesliga, you know, it's a whole can of worms because MLB is very popular, so they're going to have coverage either way. Bundesliga is very popular in the German-speaking world, so they'll have plenty of independent media. But who's covering the Bundesliga as independent English language media? And that's
just us. It's just you and me.
It's just the two of us. There is no other options.
That's not entirely true. There's kind of like, who's that guy on ESPN?
Some other guy. Jana Forthroft, I forgot his name.
Manuel Veit tweets about
Manuel Veit. Well,
I had to unfollow Manuel Veit on Twitter finally because he got into this AI thing and he was like posting like for days. He was like constantly posting AI renderings of stadiums. Honey, I was like, I can't take this. I'm out.
That's the beauty of media. You could silence and follow whoever you want. It's up to you. It's a crazy ass Wild West market, and we're just a small part of it. But anyway,
I mean that's the downside. Obviously, it's very fragmented. We don't we don't have a large audience.
Right. There's no large audience anymore. They can't find what to look at. Yeah. It used to be easy to find what you need, but it was very middle of the road.
The barriers of entry were high. There was like two guys on the sports show, and if you wanted that job, you had to beat out like and now anybody can do it, but then potentially no one will listen.
Speaking of snowy interference, Bayern Munich and Union Berlin were postponed, so we don't know if they are on par with Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen and Dortmund, the game, like you alluded to earlier, Dortmund scored very early and defended until Bayer Leverkusen finally got their equalizer in the 80th minute or so, or right before then. And Bayer Leverkusen could not find a winner. The game ended 1-1, 1 point each. Bayer Leverkusen are still top of the table by 3 points, but Bayern München have a game in hand because they could not play this weekend as their game against Union Berlin was snowed out, and southern Germany looks quite snowed out.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow.
Trains are not working in the game, so who knows when Bayern and Union are going to play? They have not announced the new date.
It was it's next year. We heard not going to be this year.
I assumed they would just play on Sunday. I assume it would just be like.
I thought so too, but I guess it was still too much snow.
Yeah, still too much snow. So there you go, and I'll tell you that really annoys me. I'm just like the whole time. It's like for months, it's like, oh, but Bayern has a game in hand. It's So we'll see. Wow. But as of right now, Bayer Leverkusen still leading.
That was a fun game.
It was a good game.
But Stuttgart won again. Leipzig got a win. But then, the crappy teams are still. Darmstadt lost to Köln at home, so Köln finally got out of the relegation spot, but only for now. Yeah, a lot going on.
Still love the way Bayer Leverkusen are playing, and I still really love the way that Stuttgart are playing.
I'm excited to see them live, even though they're probably going to kick my team's ass.
With Bochum, you just never know, right?
No. That's what I was saying to my brothers. Like, probably going to be a tie.
Well, I look forward to you. Get on the Twitter, report live, and we'll talk about that game on the podcast. Leverkusen in Bayer Arena. My cousin will be there. He will be
Well, should we?
there. Nah,
should,
only
no.
if you want to. He'll be in the fan section of the other of the enemies.
And
But
next week we have another Verfolger duel when Dortmund hosts RB Leipzig on the late game on Saturday. And we got actually two because Stuttgart are for real. So Stuttgart is hosting Leverkusen on Sunday. So another big game. So lots of big stuff happening next weekend.
Stuttgart versus Leverkusen is going to be a lot of fun.
It's a banger.
Those boys are both playing some really good soccer. I'm liking it. As far as Europe goes, we haven't seen some Europe. We've all done well.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, we totally didn't. I mean, not Union Berlin, but everybody else.
The other three are all through. Dortmund are through. Bayern München are through.
Shocking.
Leipzig are through.
Dortmund being the first team out of that group is a genuine surprise because that's the group of death.
And they're the People's Club versus the evil
Milan
with the American owners, and then the Saudi Arabia owning the other two or whatever. Or I guess one Saudi Arabia, one UAE. Yeah.
It went very well, but it's all going to end quickly again, the knockouts. Remember last year we were like, how are the German teams so good? And then they were like editorials, there were special reports about, my God, Germany's so good. Then they all got knocked out.
By the quarterfinals, it's only Bayern München. But who knows? This year, maybe not. This year, maybe Dortmund and Leipzig. Because Dortmund have been playing their best soccer in the Champions League.
They've been really, really good. They were good. They were very good. Weirdly, they're defensively strong in the Champions League. They have a legit good defense. I don't know how that works. I mean, it was interesting.
They defeated the charms of Christian Pulisic and AC Milan, and they just in Milan, they got to win, and they won in Milan. I know they won at home. They won in Milan.
Those people don't look like. I mean, I watched them that game. I didn't watch. I haven't been watching a lot of Milan. I'm also not like really on the Pulisic watch. But just from what it's like, it doesn't look like these people get along. Like that Milan team does not look like they like each other.
Oh, really?
I had that. I just got that vibe. I don't know. I mean,
could
obviously
be true.
It's hard to say, but
they need a lot of new players. They need to get to know each other.
And
a lot of those dudes know each other from Chelsea. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Olivier Giroud, Christian Pulisic. They're the old Chelsea crew.
Yeah, I mean Musa, right? Musa's on the team. He's Pulisic's friend. So I guess I mean not some people get along. It's just like I don't know that front three. They don't quite have the chemistry. It looks like I don't know. Maybe it'll.
Tom in the chat. Tom, Milan has some selfish play. Well, Leao.
Well, I guess that's a good.
And
way
Leao
to put it.
was Pulisic's big thing. Milan are doing well, but they lost 5-0 against Inter Milan. So it shows that AC Milan, who are currently trying to get back to their old glory days, they're not there yet. They're getting there, but they're not there yet. I think they sit third place, whereas Weston McKennie and Juventus are top of the table. Good. I love the fact that Weston McKennie refuses to be. They keep trying to drop him and sell him. And
he's a scrappy guy.
He's like, he played a full 90 over the weekend on the game that put him top of the table. The dude refuses to be gotten rid of, and I love it. I love it, Weston. Keep it going. Tom,
all right.
How you doing? How's your relationship with ESPN and the Bundesliga? Milan needs some defenders.
Better midfield. Yeah,
and also maybe a better attackers and a goalkeeper while you're at it, right? Throw that in there.
No, their front line is strong. It just doesn't seem like they're quite clicking.
Maybe they need to get Nico Schlotterbeck back there. Huh? Get him from
Nico Schlotterbeck. I don't know.
Rumor has it that Giovanni Reina might be linked to a loan move to AC Milan in the wintertime.
Oh, they're going to get the All-American midfield?
AC USA Milan.
Gio Reyna is, he's an enigma ripped inside a riddle. We're going to see what the future holds for him. It doesn't seem to be a Dortmund.
If at a club level he learns how to play with Pulisic and Musa on the field at the same time, that would be great for the national team. That would be a dream. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Let's cross that bridge. Oh, no, I pushed the wrong button. Here we go.
Well, where should Gio
That's
Reyna
what I
go?
meant.
Maybe Gladbach with his buddy Joe Scally? I don't know. Where should he go in the wintertime?
Yeah, I think
he's got to go somewhere.
more mid-table Bundesliga might be good. I think.
Yeah.
I guess he's not gonna be MLS yet, right? We're not ready.
We're not
for
there
that.
yet. We're not there yet.
But I mean, Dortmund is the place that you're going to on the way up, but he is not. So that's not a lot of. I don't know. It's unclear.
Maybe he goes to RB Leipzig, does a lateral move. We'll see. But maybe he muscles his way back onto the starting lineup. In Dortmund.
Leipzig don't need him. He's got. I mean, yeah. I mean, Milan could use him actually. I think. Yeah.
I think that is a real rumor that is being talked about. All right. Well, that's been the Germany hour. Tom says Thursday doesn't rate Gio. Yeah, I mean, he's not really giving him the minutes.
Well, he's been hurt a lot too, but
he's been hurt a lot and whatnot. But anyway, for the Germany hour, we'll see you next week, or we won't see you next week.
Oh, we will not see you next week.
I think we're off next week. We have a special show on the weekend right after the MLS Cup.
MLS Cup, Bundesliga fans.
Bundesliga fans,
Tune in
MLS
for the
Cup.
MLS Cup instant reaction. It's
Instant
after
reaction.
it's right after it's right after the late game. The late game on Saturday is what did I just say?
I don't remember.
No,
Yeah,
it was
right after-
Dortmund against Leipzig.
Leipzig.
And then the MLS Cup final is right after that. So
We will react to all of that. So tune in for the weekend.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, we'll have some sort of a Christmas schedule and we'll keep you all posted.
sounds
All
good.
right. Tschüss. Bis nächste Woche.
Good night.